Can we do something about local government? Yes, we can. First of all, I think there's an open debate that we have too many layers of it, and Auckland excluded, we should be getting rid of regional councils. That would help a lot of people. But the wider problem is that local government is bound to follow the laws of Parliament like anyone else. The worst law of all is the Resource Management Act, which gives local government the permission to put its beak into just about anyone, because the Resource Management Act says you may have a piece of paper that says you own this property, but you can't do anything with it unless the council says so. That has led to the bureaucracy, the lack of affordability, the frustration, and ultimately the killing of our entrepreneurial culture. Because see, I mean, the truth is, we like to think that we're all number 8 wire and Hillary knocked the bastard off, and you know it's all great can-do Kiwi attitude, invented the Hamilton jet, you know, and yet the truth is that we're all just terrified of council inspectors. You know, so it's killing our culture. Resource Management Act reform is going to transform this country. And I don't say these things lightly. What Simon Court and Chris Bishop are doing, and I'm really proud of what Simon's doing for ACT, we are replacing a law that says you can't do anything unless the council says so, with a law that says the underlying purpose is the enjoyment of property. So you can do what you like on your property unless you're harming someone else. That's your starting point. And the next thing is, if someone else wants to object, they need to show that your property use is affecting their enjoyment of their property, because enjoyment of the property is the purpose. Now, if we could just get that basic idea, you can say to a council, well, first of all, I've got a right to do it. Second of all, no one else is complaining. So third of all, bugger off. And you imagine how that changes. There's a few other things that we're doing around local government. One of them is that we are changing the Local Government Act so that this whole idea of the 4 well-beings, I was going to say Wayne Brown. I don't want Wayne Brown looking into my 4 well-beings, okay? I just don't. Neither should you, by the way. I want the council to do the roads, the rats, the rubbish, the rates, you know? I want them to clear the drains of leaves and sludge so that when it rains, my house doesn't get flooded. You know, it's not complicated. And that's what we're doing with Local Government Act reform. We're saying there's no more 4 well-beings, there's no more general competence. Here's the specific things the council should do. And here's one other thing we're doing. I just want to acknowledge Helena Rosa here, who stood for ACT Local in Albany. Sadly, people in Albany don't always know what's good for them, so they voted for someone else. But, you know, we live and we learn. But, you know, Helena's an example of a good New Zealander who stood up to stand for her local council. And yet, I've watched generations of lemmings go onto these local boards and councils, and they just get fed the mushroom treatment by the council officials. And so we're also making changes that actually the officials are required to give all the information to the councillors. They're the ones we voted for. Because at the moment, there's a bunch of people I voted for to run my council, and there's a bunch of people running the show that I can't vote for. Well, that is many things, but it's not democracy. So, yep, RMA, Local Government Act reform, 4 well-beings, empowering the elected people over the unelected. There's a lot of things that we're doing that I believe will improve the deal and the responsiveness from councils. But I agree with you, they're a dysfunctional organisation, that's for sure. Thanks. All right, this gentleman down here, he's here to bring down the average age and ask a question.
You previously mentioned welfare, making sure they are not abusing the system. But what have you actually put in place to stop these people from getting free money from the government?
Well, a couple of things, sir. I wouldn't quite put it that way. Just remember, you never know when it could be you or someone close to you. So it's not. I wouldn't say it's they or these people, but your question is fair. You know, how does the Ministry of Social Development ensure that people who are getting the money from others who are paying taxes at the time are actually, you know, pulling their weight as well? Because it's mutual obligation. And one thing is, for example, you have to show up every 3 weeks to demonstrate that you've looked for work at least twice a week in that period. If you can't do that, you can't show that you're making a minimum effort, then you can get put onto electronic income management, where they will say, look, here's your card, you can use it for certain things at certain shops, but you can't use it for anything. So that would be an example. There's what you call work obligations. You have to show up regularly and prove that you're doing the work to find a job. And if you're not, then you can get this electronic income management or money management, I think they call it. So it doesn't take everything away from you, but it constrains your freedom to spend if you're not making an effort to. Does that help? Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming. And thank you for asking a question. How old are you? 13. Give him a big hand. Thank you. And there's a gentleman all the way down the back there. He's got his hand right up. There he goes. Yeah.
Hello, David. How are you today?
Very well, thanks.
Yeah, cool. So, as you mentioned, you already kind of abolished the WPR course.
Yep.
I just want to say, for representing the UOA's students, we want to say a big thank you to you. Because, as a former class rep for that course, we didn't learn anything useful. Even the purpose of it is treaty, but we didn't learn much of it. And it's more like a student, directed activity rather than teacher interactive. You have to learn it by yourself, and it's not doing its job. So I have some local friends and some international students. They all want to recon. I just want to say, could you promote it maybe, so we can get a recon.
So just in case anyone didn't catch that, sir, you were the class rep for your class in this compulsory treaty course, and your complaint is that you didn't even learn much about the treaty.
Exactly. All the activities are you have to read and watch YouTube videos and stuff like that.
Oh, so it's just like normal life.
I don't know, for a local person, it's 5,000-ish local.
Yeah.
For I don't know, international student, it costs maybe 10,000 or something. I forgot.
Yeah.
It's just a huge money, and it's all.
Well, I think the university council is very aware of our position that at the very least they should give you a credit for another course where you might learn something. Would be so the Consumer Guarantees Act. There's a lady down here. If you, sorry to make you. Thank you. Yeah, she's got her hand up there.
Kia ora, David. Jackie Foster from Social Justice HLI.
Kia ora.
I'm working with you in regards to the euthanasia bill.
Oh, cool.
You might remember that.
Yeah.
This is actually quite awkward because I've actually got a question for Karen.
Oh, okay. Well, she's right there.
So, Minister, how do you justify celebrating reduced harm and youth justice when overall abuse in state care increased with 896 findings and many children harmed more than months?
Yeah, and I've been asked this question, and what I will say is both can be true at the same time. We must be able to acknowledge when things are going well, and also acknowledge when there's other areas of a system that aren't going so well. Both can be true at the same time. How I can justify that is the hard work that those staff have done to turn around youth justice facilities from a place where young people were getting hurt and harmed a lot to a place where young people are now telling me that they feel that they're safer. So that's how I justify celebrating a reduction in youth harm in youth justice facilities. When you're talking about the harm out in the community, I think what we often don't do is actually have a good look at what that actually is. So when we're talking about the 500 incidences of harm that have been found, if we break it down, a lot of that is when we're returned home, when we're returning children back into the care of either their parents or family members. That's the most dangerous time when we're returning children out of care. And 60% of that harm is actually not done by the caregivers. It could be a child going to school, and getting bullied at school. It could be a child walking to school and a random stranger hurt or harms that child, and it's actually recorded as harm and care. So what I have instructed Orewa Tamariki to do is actually get a really good breakdown of what that harm is, where that harm is happening, and how we can actually minimise that harm, but actually have the knowledge of where it's happening. So 60% of that is actually not at the hands of a caregiver. And what I would say to you is, this is all the children's system, not just Orewa Tamariki. It's to do with education, it's to do with housing, it's to do with justice, it's to do with corrections, and there's a whole lot of work programs going on in the background to make sure that we can keep kids safer, also in our communities, not just in the care homes. So it's a bit more complex than just throwing out a figure of that much harm and care.
Oh, thank you. And thank you. Not every social justice Aotearoa member comes to ACT meetings, so good question, good answer. Thank you for being here. There we go, this gentleman. Yeah, he's close enough. There you go.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming to speak to us. I think they're doing a wonderful job in Parliament. I just had one question about one of the issues which I've been experiencing most, which is sort of the attack on freedom of speech and freedom of open expression of opinions in New Zealand. I think it's brilliant that there's the ACT Party is still standing strong on that value. But I was just wondering if there's anything that you have done or that you have proposed to do in the future which could potentially stop some of those attacks on freedom of speech. To give you an example, I've met people who have lost their jobs or been demoted at their workplace because they've expressed the wrong opinion or a controversial opinion, even in their private life, or students at school who have been given sort of academic punishment or punishment within schools and universities for again expressing a controversial opinion that goes against sort of the political mainstream. So I'm just wondering if ACT has a policy or anything that they've done on that issue.
Yeah, so the question is about free speech. I always sort of divide this into two things. First of all, what are the government policies and laws? The one thing that I'm proud of in this area is that from about 2020 to 2023, the then government repeatedly threatened to bring in a hate speech law. And they said they were going to do it, and we campaigned relentlessly. And I'm sure, success has many fathers and failures and orphan, etc. Everyone will say they did it, but I think we did a lot to dissuade them from ever actually introducing that law. So we don't have hate speech laws on the books in New Zealand, and that is a major plus. I mean, I couldn't say that in the UK, so we're in a good space in that sense. There will always be new frontiers. I think the internet is an important frontier. So when you look at something like this Broadcasting Standards Authority decision, which some people may have come across around the platform, again, we're pushing back on that, and I don't think that's going to go anywhere at the moment. It's just Paul Goldsmith, the minister in charge, and I think he's talking to them quietly that maybe this wasn't their best work. So we continue to uphold free speech. Pretty soon there will be a law passed, it's been going through Parliament all year, that will require universities to have a free speech policy like the University of Chicago, so that students, or faculty for that matter, can actually tap on the sign and say, hey, that doesn't go in my university, we want free speech. So when it comes to what the government's laws are, we have and are and continue to ensure that the laws support free speech. There's something else going on which the government can't easily control, and that's culture. And I think we're at a low point, and that's one of the reasons we do public meetings. It's one of the reasons we give an open mic, and we're happy to have people from social justice Aotearoa who may not agree with us on every issue, but everyone's here, everyone's respectful, people disagree. Some of you guys will think the answers I give are terrible, but you're not going to storm out and throw eggs at me, hopefully. It's okay to have a different opinion. It's okay to disagree. In fact, in many ways, the success of our society is that we're able to separate the person from the idea. We're able to compartmentalise. That's why one of the greatest New Zealanders, Sir Ernest Rutherford, he did a series of experiments. He got lots of stuff wrong. Eventually he got something right. But he didn't say, I am my experiment and my experiment is me. He could compartmentalise. And, that is in many ways the foundation of who we are as a country. I don't know how to change culture or control culture. Some politicians think they can do that. They generally don't come up well in the history books. But I think that we can all make an effort to try and separate the person from the argument every day, and that might just get us to a better place. So, right, now we've got more people everywhere. How's our time going? Yeah. We've just gone to 8:01, so maybe take about 3 more questions and then we'll wrap it, because I don't want to break my promise. So,
David,
yeah.
apropos your article in Stuff magazine this morning, and the fact that we now have albeit acting Prime Minister who's of Maori blood, where do we get to come up with a definition of what is a Maori? Because it's got words and words, I think the College Rifles, 3 of us had no Maori blood. Now the nation's gone crazy, and it's probably the elephant in the room here, because it worries me, it doesn't affect me, but it worries me for the future generations. We have to put a line in the sand, get rid of the seats, get rid of the lot. It's crazy.
Well, first of all, I don't believe the government should be trying to kind of define, who is this or who is that. I'm all for, there's one type of person, the human being, and we have a lot more in common than divides us. So people say, the government should say that you're Maori, or if you're this percentage Maori, or you're European, or you're whatever. I don't agree with that. I'm here for humanity. Then the question is about things like the Maori seats. I mean, I disagree. They're not needed. They were needed in the 1860s for various reasons that aren't relevant today. Bolger, God rest his soul, was supposed to get rid of them in 1990. He failed to do that, which is a shame. All I would say is that it's still one person, one vote. And I don't mind having different seats in principle. For example, I think that there should be a separate set of seats for people who have studied any economics at all. And ACT would win all of the seats, and those would be our seats. And it wouldn't be undemocratic. It'd still be one person, one vote. They'd just be in a different role. So I don't have I think it's wrong, but I don't think it's not distortionate. So for that reason, it's not a hill that I'm planning to die on, but I agree with you that they're wrong. All right, who are we going? There's a lady on the far right, or actually she's on the far left, but from where I'm standing, she's on the far right.
Right, so in the news recently, had Labour spouting on about what they're going to do for the next election. And the very thought of Labour, Te Pāti Māori and the Greens getting in, I don't know about anyone else, but it actually makes my stomach turn. So my question to you tonight is, from what I can see, the popularity and support for ACT seems to be growing and growing. And also for New Zealand First, and this is what I'm seeing on social media. Could you visualise next year that if your parties grow in the popularity where they're going, where it looks like they're heading, national, however, drops, could you visualise partnering with New Zealand First?
Well, we're in a coalition with them right now. It's totally up to the voters. So if you're talking about a scenario where, ACT and New Zealand First, depending on your favourite poll, are a bit under 20%. If you're talking about a world where in 11 months' time, together we get 50%, then I quite like your world. But I'm working on the basis that, what do the Boy Scouts say? Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Well, we can hope for that, but I don't think we should prepare for that situation. I would just raise this one thought, that you can safely vote ACT, being absolutely certain that we won't go with Labour. And you can safely vote National, knowing that they also won't go with Labour. They'll just introduce their policies, that's all. I don't think if you really think about it, if you can say that about every party, if you're really sure. And I was talking to someone, and they were talking about making a very large donation, $5,000, and they said, I think I might give it to New Zealand First. And I said, really? I said, yeah. And I said, you bet $5,000 they won't go with Labour. They said, oh shit, no, I wouldn't bet that much. I said, okay, give the money to ACT. So I just make that point. My job is very simple. We must keep them out. And so every day, everything we do is designed to do that. Now, I said we'd do a few more questions, but we're at 8:07, so over time. So can I just wrap this up? And I'm going to stay a bit later. Then, so you got your hand up so high, I can't say no. All right. What were you going to say?
David, I'm a teacher. I've been teaching for 47 years. The Education and Training Bill / Act or whatever.
Yep.
Where we're standing, where it imposes unbelievable things on the Board of Trustees, and for myself as a teacher, you can hear from my accent where I come from. I've been teaching here for 30 years. I've got to re-register with the Teachers Council. It's a matter of a few weeks away. The 8 standards, I can accept most of them, but you know what I'm talking about. There are those impositions on me as an educator to make a choice about a person's ethnicity, irrespective of the kids that I'm teaching. I love my job. I don't give a whatever I do, how I'm teaching. And I'm scared because I've seen over the last 7 or 8 years this imposition on the board, which then comes down to us as teachers. It's done some scary stuff in classrooms.
Yeah. So, sir, you're talking about Section 127 of the Education Act that requires the Board of Trustees to uphold the Treaty of Waitangi. Look, all I can say is it's not up to me to announce that. It's up to Erica. But when she does announce it, I don't think you'll be unhappy. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Okay. Look, I was just going to wrap up because I don't want to keep people over time. The lady asked, what do we do? I don't want you to have any kind of stomach pains from Labor getting in, so we're here to help. There's a few things you can do. I mean, if you basically, you don't have to agree with everything I say. If you do, then check yourself in, get checked out. But if you agree with most of it, and if you like that basic vision that we are a nation of pioneering, adventurous people who travelled across the seas to build the greatest society that's ever existed, give our children a better future than they could have hoped for back home. If you think that you can relate to that and you've got your own story about how you or your family came here and you want to buy into it and you believe it's not where you came from that matters ultimately, it's where you're going next that's important. If you believe in that basic thing, even if just that, then go and tell people. Because honestly, you guys have more influence in your social circle than I will ever have, because they know you and they probably don't know me, except perhaps from a sort of distant figure. And so your influence to persuade with hand-to-hand retail politics is far greater than you may realise. The second thing is, if you want to help and get out and campaign and help the ACT Party, then you can do that. We sign up people. The great thing about politics is that it has a voracious appetite for free labour, and it will be, you'd be amazed how far you can go. Like, I just signed up to help deliver some leaflets, and then 10 years later, it's gone a lot further than I anticipated. but that's what happened with Karen. She joined our School of Practical Politics to be a candidate. And she said to me, what do you do with the money people give you? And, ACT was on 0.6% at this time. I said, who the hell's giving you money? She said, people they give me money because they want to support my career. I said, Jesus. I thought this is either one of the most talented politicians I've ever met or she's totally corrupt. But anyway, that's Karen. It's the first one, by the way. I trust her with my life, and she's got real political talent. But signing up, showing up, it's amazing what you can do. And if you're too busy for that, you can always just sit at home and donate. I mean, I'll just say, But I'm half joking. But the truth is, next year, the media will turn on us like they did 2 years ago. They will not tell our story in an objective way. They don't even now. Fix them. Well, if you want someone to fix the media, get a dictator. We still believe in a free press. We just wish they weren't so stupid. So, our strategy is to go straight to you, the voter. But that is generally called advertising, and generally they don't do it for love or charity. So that's my plea to you, is that I'm giving it my all for the next 360 odd days. But I can't do it without you. And people can help in different ways. Word of mouth, muscle, volunteering, donating, whatever your thing is. We'd be grateful for your support, because it will be tough next year, and there are a whole lot of reasons, some of which we don't know yet. But together we can actually win and pursue that dream of a nation of pioneers standing proudly in the world right down here in the South Pacific. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you get home safe. Cheers. Thank you. Thank you.